Okay, so let's get started on module number 1. Are you ready? Let's go after our Denvers. So we've got to set this up to make this work right, okay? You've got to realize something, and it's a hard reality, is that you've been lied to. You've just simply been lied to. You know, these cliches that are out there that are just false, which is one of my favorites is, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Now listen, if you believe that, you're either never been in the real world or you're kidding yourself, because it's just not true. Here's the real cliche. If you love what you do, you're going to have days that suck at a level you didn't know they could suck that bad. And you're gonna go back for another one. Because if you love what you do, it was just a bad day. But if you're like most people and you hate what you do, man, those bad days that you inevitably gonna have, they just grind you into the ground and make you just hate your life even more. And it gets depressing and demoralizing. That's the problem you've got. Is when I'm talking to college students, you know, they expect college to help them get to where they want to be, and it just doesn't. They graduate lost. So I call it having a gorilla on your back. You feel that weight, and man, that weight makes you make bad decisions. And it just makes you get a job to make your mom and dad happy, or just to make your friends happy, but you just dive in to a job that really you weren't passionate about. But you just started the job and here you go. And this is how you have really bad days. Because remember, bad days are not optional. You're gonna have them, not optional. But if you have a job or a career path that you love and gives you purpose and joy, then you get over those days because they're just a bad day. That's what I'm talking about. So in step 1, you've got to realize, if I'm not living my purpose, we got ourselves a real problem, okay? But here's the reason. If you want to find these people who went to college or didn't go to college, but started on the wrong path of life, those are the people whose job and life just sucks. So right here, right now, I'm dead serious. Think about somebody in your life that you know who hates their job. Just think about it. Are you thinking about them right now? Does everyone, when I ask audiences if they know someone who hates their job, hands go up immediately. And I know right now you're thinking about someone who hates their job. So think about this. Why? Why do they go do a job that they hate voluntarily every day? Why do they do that? I'll tell you why, all right? 1, because they don't know the stuff I'm gonna tell you in these 3 modules. For 1, that's why I change people's lives all over the country, all right? But here's what they did, and here's the evolution of people who hate their jobs. They go to college or they don't go to college, doesn't matter. They start out in the real world, not in a job that they were dreaming of, just a job that pays the bills, right? And by the way, if you want to find somebody really quickly who hates their job, there's 2 easy ways. And you'll never forget this. They cannot wait for 5 o'clock and they cannot wait for Friday. 5 o'clock and Friday. You know why? Because man, my life gets back to me. I'm out of prison. I get out of prison at 5 on Fridays so I can go live my life. And if you're one of those people, you need to make some changes. See, because what happens is these people that you're thinking of right now that I'm talking about, and hopefully it's not you, but if it is, I got you. I got you, okay? Just stay with me on this. They went to school or didn't go to school, started out in the real world, got a job, wasn't the job, but it was a job. Paid the bills, paid the rent, paid the groceries. So then they thought, you know, this sucks, but they're waiting for 5 o'clock on Friday so they can go live their life. Then they get a promotion. They're still bitching about their job, but they got another promotion, all right? And time goes by fast. Before you know it, a few years later, in the job that sucks, paying you a little bit better, waiting for 5 o'clock on Friday, you get married. Then before you know it, you got a kid or 2. And then in a blink of an eye, you've got a mortgage payment on a house, a couple car payments, and all kinds of bills coming due. And the point is that with 67% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, the reason these people still hate their job when they're 45 and 50 years old is because they can't afford to make a change. And it's very sad. It really is, because what they say to me, it's even worse. They just simply say, Steve, I've actually heard this. I've only got 14 more years until I retire. And I'm like, holy crap. You're gonna give up 14 great years of your life waiting for something that might or might not happen? Because who says you're gonna be alive in 14 years, let alone healthy enough to spend whatever money you saved. See, that's the problem with people. When corporations pay me a lot of money to go in and talk to these 45, 50-year-olds, the reason they pay me a lot of money, it's really hard to unscrew somebody that far down the rabbit hole. Because the reality is when you've got that many payments and 2 weeks of life in the bank because you're living paycheck to paycheck, the reality is you don't make the change. Because the change is so hard at that level. You can do it if you really want it. If you really want it, you can do anything. But most people will just relinquish themselves to sucking and hating their life. Listen, I have friends. I'm thinking of one lady in particular, and I hear this a lot. She hates her job, but not enough to make a change. It's so bad. It's so bad that when she is watching the shows on Sunday night, she specifically said to me, 60 Minutes, which has been around for years. It's a Sunday night program. It gives her heartburn and acid reflux because you know what? She knows what's coming in just a few hours, and that's Monday morning. That's how bad it is for some of these people. And I'm like, life is too short to not be purposeful and joyful in what you do and go create something as an employee or as an owner. It doesn't matter. You can create it, but you gotta love it to do it, all right? So that's what you gotta realize is that the people who hate their jobs got themselves in a rabbit hole that was just ugly. And that river of life took them in a place that they never wanted to be. So whether you're out in the real world, in college, even younger than that, the goal for this program is to make a pivot. Not a huge pivot, just a pivot. See, I fly airplanes. Love me some airplanes. And if I'm flying to North Carolina and I'm flying on a certain heading and I've got 500 miles to go and I turn the airplane just 5 degrees, at first, nothing happens. But in 400 miles, I will not be where I wanted to go. I'll be in a whole different state than where I was headed. That's what I'm trying to do for you in these modules. I'm not trying to create dramatic changes. I'm trying to turn you 5 degrees and then let life do what life does and take you where you really should have been, not to where you're going. But if you get in the river of life and you're making these wrong decisions and you're unable or unwilling to make those changes, the river of life never takes you where you want to be, right? So what I tell audiences as well, when we're searching for our Denver, and I'm going to get you to Denver, I promise, all right? But I've got to set this up. You've got to find, when you're doing your Denver, when you're in a purposeful life, which is Denver, I call it your true north. It's really when you're headed in a direction that is aligned with who you are. That's true north. The problem is most people aren't, right? And it's really not their fault. They either didn't have the right direction or the tools to get where they needed to be. So when I ask audiences all over the country, I have them stand up and I say, listen, close your eyes. It's really fun to do. And I say, point to where you believe true north is. Point. And let me tell you, the hands in the room are in every direction. I always have somebody doing that, all right? And they just don't really have a clue where north is. And when they open their eyes and look around, it's lots of laughter, lots of fun. But the point is this, that if you think north is that way, and you're doing everything in your life to go try to fulfill that purposeful life, but in reality, people like me show you north is that way, well, then you're doing something wrong. So how about this? That's what this program does. This program, especially week 1, will help you realize what your true north is. Once you realize the direction you're going to go, then you can actually go there. But if you're just wandering around in life trying to figure out where your north is, you will never, ever find it. Is that fair enough? And listen, finally this. You've got to think about all what I call in our module the pressures of society. Listen, you have got to start avoiding the pressures of society. And they're everywhere. I get it. I feel for you. I understand. But listen, either this is going to be your life to live or someone else's life that you're going to live through their eyes. And it's so, so important. You have got, listen to me here, you have got to stop believing you've got to do what your major was. If you went to college, you've got to stop believing you've got to do what your parents think you should do. Listen, your parents are not the ones going to work and working their ass off every day in a job they hate. but they're telling you that's what you should do because that's what they think they should do. Now listen, it's not your parents' fault. Here's what parents do. Parents want the best for their kids, but when their kids don't know what they want to do in life, the parents have a tendency to say, here's what I think you should do. And it's always safe and it's always small. It is because it's safe. But listen, if you want to live your parents' life, I'm not your guy. If you want to live your best life, this is the program for you. You will not be disappointed. All right. So listen, you've got to realize part of finding your Denver is looking inside of you, forgetting what you see on social media, forgetting any of this, and just looking inside of you and saying, what do I really want? What really makes me get excited? What gives me energy? We're going to break down all these things to try to figure it out in you. So step 2 and 3 in the weeks to follow will really take off. So listen, the first thing you got to realize is you've been lied to. People hate their jobs, but you got to understand why, all right? And that the evolution takes off. If you're in college, you're just out, the timing, you'll be 30, 40, 50, just like this, so fast, you won't believe it. You've got to get ahead of this, and you've got to get aggressive, and you got to get aggressive now. And finally, we're going to find your true north and make it happen. We're going to find your Denver, all right? So be prepared for this. Clean your brain. Erase your preconceived notions that life's just going to suck. I've got to just hate my life for the first 10 years. None of this is true, right? Because you've been told the real world is hard. It is if you do it wrong. This program will show you how to do it right. Let's get to module 2 and we'll figure it out. I'll see you there.